here. Okay. So officially, welcome to the first Teen Educators webinar for this year. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. We have 49 teen groups registered this year, divided almost evenly between our 3 curricula. We have the standard, the Musar, and the mixtape. And the students range in age from middle school to late high school. So we have a real assortment of students and educators. And that means we have a lot of different viewpoints, and we're going to have a lot of interesting ideas and insights to share. So in the past, I've done a webinar every month, and the webinar has focused on one curriculum. Like last year, we did Musar every month. And we discussed the monthly topic, and we had some really amazing conversations, inspirational discussions. And I know I learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure the educators on the Zoom meetings did too. Because I want everybody to get together, I wanted to have the educators for all 3 different curricula this time, just this one time, and then we'll do separate ones. So the first webinar combines all of the tracks: the standard, where this month's topic is rites of passage; Musar, where this month's topic is wisdom, chokhmah, how we can learn from every experience; and mixtape, koach hadibur, word, how our words impact on our experiences in powerful ways. So here is a chart for people who aren't familiar with the different topics or the different curricula. You can see how they relate to each other. They were designed so that the same student could do Chai Mitzvah for multiple years and not repeat, but also so that the topics relate enough so that the participants doing the different Chai Mitzvah tracks can have a global conversation. So let's look at the topics and how they relate. And if you have a question, just please feel free to call out. I actually can see, I think most of you. If I get rid of me, I can see you. And then you can also say something. Anyway, so this month it's rites of passage, which is how different experiences change you and how the Jewish tradition helps us get through these changes. Even if they're happy changes, they're stressful. Wisdom, chokhmah, how you can learn from every experience. And koach hadibur, word, which is it's how different experiences can be affected by our words. And Matt can tell you more later when we talk. As you can see, we can look down. There's interpersonal relationships, which can focus on friendship or on a study buddy, like a different kind of a friendship. There are different ways of looking, for example, at gratitude. Hakarat HaTov is like acknowledging the good and being grateful for it, whereas radical amazement is a different way of looking at gratitude. So all of these are relating but different, and I think it'll be interesting as we go through the year to see how the different curricula are done by each of the students and you guys. So are there any questions about the different tracks? Okay, so I'm excited to have you on this webinar. So let's just introduce ourselves to each other. Tell everyone your name, where you're from, the grades of your students, and which curriculum you're using, and also whether you've taught Chai Mitzvah before. So I will unmute you, and we have 2 more people I can bring in as panelists. I'm really excited to see all of you. Okay, so let's unmute all. Okay, so it's always tricky when you're introducing yourself for one of these things because no one knows who should talk first. So I'll just look at your names that I have listed here, and I'll just go down the list. So Shireen.
Thank you for coming forward.
Hello. This is my 2nd year with the teen program. Last year we did the Musar program, and I'm in Austin, Texas.
Great. Okay, Iris.
Describe what happened to you.
Where'd Iris go? Okay, we'll come back. Ellen.
Yes, I live in Sarasota, Florida, and last year I taught the teen Chai Mitzvah program, Musar topics, with 7th graders, and this year I'm actually teaching 6th grade, but I also am teaching other grades as well, sort of a music type curriculum. So I wanted to integrate some of the mixtape curriculum into, I guess, with all the kids at the school somehow, some way.
Well, you've got Matt here on the call, so
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in, very much so.
okay, great. Okay, Janice. Oh, not Janice, Michael.
Sure. I think I'm on mute. Yeah. So I'm not sure which curriculum we're teaching. My name is Michael. I'm in at Shirat Hayam in Swampscott, Massachusetts, and we're going to be teaching it a curriculum to 8th through 12th graders as part of our post-May and Mitzvah program.
Okay, great. Okay, Sarah. I see Sarah here, but I don't hear you, Sarah. Well, Sarah's in Texas, and
Sarah doesn't have a microphone set up.
Oh, that's it. Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
hello.
I see that.
Right, in the chat section.
Oh, yes, yes. She doesn't have a microphone, but hello. She's working with 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th graders using the Musar mixtape curriculum. Last year, we used the standard curriculum. We started school on Sunday, and the kids absolutely loved the Bible Raps Rapport video and creating their own rap names. All right, that's great. Okay, David.
Hi, my name is David Heilbronn. I'm based out of the Jewish Federation of Greater Indianapolis. This is my first year teaching Chai Mitzvah, so I'm very excited. We're going to be using the standard curriculum for a cross-communal kind of post-B'nai Mitzvah, so 8th through 12th grade.
Great. Let's see, who did I not get to? Jenny. Oh, you already spoke. Okay, let's see. Ellen spoke, Matt, Shireen. Okay, I think, oh, there's one more person who just, oh, she's calling.
Actually, Nina, I didn't say who I'm teaching.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm in Sacramento, California at Congregation B'nai Israel, and I'm teaching 8th and 9th graders. So, you know, post bar mitzvah, bar mitzvah, and pre-confirmation.
Excellent.
First year.
Great, great. Is there anybody that I missed? Actually, great. I'm so happy to hear about everybody. And you can see we have a big range of people. And that's really nice because we'll have a lot of different ways of looking at it and things that people can add and bring. So it's really good. One thing I thought might be interesting to everyone today is the Generation Now report. You might be familiar with it. I'm probably thinking you can't see it too well on the screen, but I'll talk about it and you'll be able to know more. You're probably familiar with it to some extent. It's from the Jewish Education Project. And the reason I have it here is because we can see how it impacts on what we're doing. And as you know, we offer a stipend for piloting our programs. And we do this because we're aware that things are always changing and we want to do the best we can to keep up with what's going on, and, you know, keep up with your needs as Jewish educators. So this can help us assess what we're doing throughout the year. The Jewish Education Project came up with 4 core questions, as you can see, and 14 outcomes, which they organized into 8 dimensions. Self and knowledge. Anyway, I think that the Chai Mitzvah program will help them get to this, but more I want to say, I think this is stuff that's basically intuitive that you know. It's just been organized in a way and given words that, you know, for things that you already know. But I want to look at it as a basis or a structure for our conversation, just to kind of keep it in your heads throughout the year as to if this is answering your needs and, you know, things that, a way of framing things to look for. So the first question, something teens are concerned with, is who am I? And the report organizes it into 2 dimensions, self, Ben Adam La'atzmo, or Atzma, they're very good here with that, and knowledge. So the Chai Mitzvah program should help them get to the 4 outcomes we see here: sense of self, pride in being Jewish, challenging and valuable learning, and learning that enables them to be active participants in the Jewish community. And the way that Chai Mitzvah does this, in part, is by having meaningful conversations based on relevant text. Whoever that is, if you don't mind just reading. And so the students can achieve these 4 outcomes. And in a few minutes, we're going to have a conversation of our own, just to kind of see how this works. But for now, we'll go on to the next question, which is, with whom and what am I connected? And the dimensions here are time, human connection, which I think is probably friendship, and spiritual connection. So building on what we just spoke about, relevant text-based conversations, the teens can express their values and ethics in relation to Jewish principles and wisdom. So that means that when they're thinking about how to approach something or what to do in their lives, they can see that there's Jewish text that's kind of relevant and can help them figure out where they're going. And even they can kind of become more aware of what's going on inside them by organizing it through some of the topics that we bring up to them. And of course, being in a group that has meaningful discussions and does fun activities is going to build strong friendships, and it should also connect them to their mentors, which is you guys, and their families. So as the year goes on, we can brainstorm some ways for them to connect to their families. For example, in the past, some groups have taken trips with the parents. Sometimes they've done social action projects as families, not just as the teens on their own. And another outcome mentioned here is to experience the holidays in Shabbat. So Chai Mitzvah doesn't really express the holidays. We don't address the holidays, but finding deeper meaning in ritual is one of our core values. So there are suggestions in all of the curriculum of how to do this. And of course, you can bring your creativity to it. And as the year goes on, I hope you'll be able to share ideas with me and with each other on our Facebook page or in our webinars about how this has come into your groups. The third question, to whom and for what am I responsible in this world? So here the dimensions are community and ha'am, the Jewish people. So we already spoke about being related to the community through social action, but an outcome of this question is also connecting to Am Yisrael. That means the Jewish people here in our communities, as well as in the world, as well as Israel. So Chai Mitzvah addresses Israel with our standard topic, our 7th topic, which is Israel and the Jewish spirit. And that focuses on a personal spiritual connection to Israel. It's timeless. It doesn't relate to whatever is going on politically, though the students are going to take this where they want to go with it. The Musar topic is trust, bitachon, and among other things, it discusses the idea of a trust in a higher power versus trust in ourselves. Can you have trust in both of those at the same time? And in the founding of the state of Israel, there was a lot of this conversation going on and how they dealt with it. And how we feel about those two ideas that today, are they exclusive, or can you trust yourself and trust a higher power at the same time? And then the mixtape topic for that is trust in ha'am, Jewish pride, which I think is really important. And so one of Matt's raps, one of my favorite words, you do, he who parted the sea is a part of me. I love that. If you want to unmute and talk a little bit about that, I'd be really happy.
Yeah, I have a song that goes into, I guess, Jewish pride, and the song, it's not trying to be a prophet, but he who parted the sea is a part of me. And when I look in my heart, I see the same mystery, and I know that we share the same history. Yeah, Hebrew is the language of G-D. So silently, I know he walks with me like an OG. I'm G'd up, and it goes on from there. But the idea is all these different kind of timeless ways that Jews across space and time have identified with Judaism in positive ways that some of the students might relate to.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be able to build a sense of pride at this time in their lives, and I think that does it really nicely. The other curricula do it nicely as well, but that just always is an amazing thing. So, and then we'll go to the last question, which is, how can I bring about change in this world? And the Jewish Education Project refers to this dimension as global. And the outcome is that Jewish teens are inspired to make a positive difference in communities in the world in which they live. And some of what we've discussed earlier plays into this, but it's It's also a good reminder about our Instagram. So we have the students do social action. You'll be doing it with students in different ways. I'm sure you all have things going on in your community. We have a hashtag, Chai Mitzvah Mitzvah. And when you do social action, we really encourage you to post it on this hashtag so that kids in Texas can see what kids in California are doing, you know, and that's a great way to share. Here is just a look at the Chai Mitzvah and the core questions. So learning, text to spark discussions, addresses the who am I. Spirituality in the Chai Mitzvah program, with whom and what am I connected? And social action, to whom and what am I responsible in this world, and how can I bring about change? So this is a good time for anybody to speak up. If you did it last year, how you found to address these things, or if you have questions about what might be going on or anything like that. Okay, then I am going to go on because now we really can have a discussion. I decided that for this one webinar to just see how a text-based conversation might go. And I chose one from the Musar curriculum because I think it's going to be interesting and fun. And I just chose a very short text. Ben Zoma says, who is wise? One who learns from every person. It's from Pirkei Avot. So one thing about this is now the students get to say, gee, what's Pirkei Avot? And who's Ben Zoma? So that right there is a nice education. But it's also an opportunity to think about this, ask relevant and stimulating questions, and put the questions here. So Pirkei Avot, we now know, if the kids don't know already, sometimes considered an early Musar text. It's a compilation of the ethical teachings and the wise maxims of Mishnaic period rabbis. So Ben Zoma is expanding the typical emphasis on Torah learning to remind us that learning and deep wisdom don't come only from Torah. Every person can be our teacher if we open ourselves up to the lesson. So then we can ask the kids, as you consider your own life, who are the people who've influenced you and what have you learned from them? I was thinking about how I would answer this question, and I was trying to put myself into the head of a teen because I think they're going to see things differently than we would see looking back at that time. So, I was trying to think who's influenced me. And, I think like the teens, I might say, my mom, she, I learned a lot of stuff from her about how to treat other people, about where my place is in relation to other people. And then one of the things I thought about, which is different, is that as I've grown older and she's grown older, that relationship has changed. But right now we're putting ourselves in the heads of teens, as well as we can have this discussion for ourselves. I'd like to try having one of these discussions. So I'd love to unmute you and have you say who's someone who's influenced you and what have you learned from them?
Nina, before we do that, I'd just like to share that I started with this Tuesday night.
Oh, cool.
And some of the answers I got from the teens were kind of surprising. One of them turned to their friend there and said, I've learned from you. And it was really very touching conversation that then, took place in the group. Another one of the teens quoted a popular singer and why that had, that person they had learned from. So I think I was just really interested. It was very deep and also, coming from unexpected places. So it was really cool.
That's really nice. Who would you say is someone that's influenced you?
Gosh, lots of people. I would say that, actually, I think my daughter has influenced me, as I watched her as a little girl and growing to be a young woman. I've always been in complete and utter awe of her individuality and lack of needing to fit in. and her ability to relate to people of all ages. She's really an old soul. So,
That's
yeah.
really nice. You know, as I was thinking of the answer to this question, I also thought of my daughter. Actually, I have three, and two of them, more than the third, had really influenced me. The third one's just like me, so you know, it's different. But that's interesting, and I didn't say anything because I thought, well, a teen obviously wouldn't be there, but that's a really a good answer. Somebody else. I'm going to ask Ellen because I know Ellen.
I
Who's
knew
it?
you were going to ask me. I was just about to say something anyway. Well, throughout my life, I've had different people that I would call my mentors, and they've changed. And they're mostly have to do with my career and people that I really look up to and have learned incredible amounts from. And sometimes I'll move on to a new mentor person and still kind of have the other person, you know, in my life as well. But it seems like I've changed. I keep changing as my needs change and my desire to learn certain things. I'll have different mentors, and they're usually people. A lot of them, mostly have been around my age, interestingly, or maybe a little older than me, and they have all this like incredible knowledge, and you know, I guess I kind of aspire to be like them. So that's my experience.
That's interesting. I think it's really good to do that. And when we talk about what have you learned from them, I think it's interesting because that shows what people are interested in or what they're learning. When you had this conversation with your students, what kinds of things did they say they had learned from each other?
Are you talking to me?
I think it was Shireen, right?
Oh.
She's not on the screen, but Shireen, you're the one who said that you did that, right?
I am so sorry, Nina.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you there?
Can you hear me? I'm so sorry. I had to step away. Can I come back in just a moment?
Sure, no problem.
I am so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Is there anybody else who wants to talk about mentors that have influenced them in any way?
Yeah, sure. I'll just add that, you know, one of my mentors was, I had a rabbinic internship with Gordon Tucker, and just one of the really explicit teachings that he said was there was some dilemma. We were deciding how to decide what the right course of action was. And he said, you know, a good rule of thumb is always simply to apply the golden rule. And it was really good teaching that you know about either values or something, but that I wasn't always certain how to apply them to daily life and daily dilemmas. So that was a really useful teaching.
That's amazing. And, you know, I'm glad you said that because it reminded me that one of my mentors was Eddie Rauch, who, you know, used to work at Milton before he passed away. And when you have a mentor like that, sometimes you remember one thing they say that just seems to never go away. We were working on something about Rambam, and what he said was things that seem perfectly acceptable now seem absolutely barbaric 100 years from now. And as I've gone through time, this must have been like 40 years ago that he said it, because I worked with him when I was really young. I found that to be the case. And it's just sometimes people say things that just resonate, and it's interesting to see that they keep going. So there's some other quotes from Ben Zoma that also apply in here that you might want to bring in. They don't specifically mention wisdom, but they're interesting. Who is strong? He who controls his impulses. As is stated, better one who is slow to anger than one with might, one who rules his spirit than the captor of a city. And he also said, who is rich? He's happy with what he has. I always remind myself of that. It doesn't work out so well for me, but I try. As is stated, if you eat the toil of your hands, fortunate for you, and good is to you. Fortunate are you in this world, and good is to you in the world to come. And he also said, who is honored? He who honors everyone. As is stated, for those who honor me, I accord honor. Those who scorn me shall be demeaned. So that's an interesting, some more interesting quotes from Ben Zoma that apply to this. And then the second question that we can talk about, extrapolating from Ben Zoma's statement about learning from people, we can assume that experiences can also be great teachers. So, what experience have been most influential thus far in your life? And what of those experiences taught you? Like, just pick one that's really giant, that stands out. I'll start. I'll try to think of an example. I guess for most parents, it's becoming a parent, because that's when your life changes and when you become responsible for a very important life that, no one else is going to be the last word for. I think that's probably, the experience that's been biggest for me. And my kids are all grown up now, but, that's definitely changed my life. Anybody else want to jump in? Ellen. You look like you're about to talk.
Well, I was just thinking. First of all, I hear this funny noise in the background. Does anybody
Me
else?
too. I don't know who it is.
It sounds like somebody heavy breathing. I don't know what it is.
It sounds like a drill.
A drill? I don't know. It sounds like that was somebody sleeping, but I couldn't believe anybody fall asleep during this thing. Okay. Anyway, I remember having to do a project for graduate school. I'm an artist and designer, and I had to kind of pull together some experiences that were really important in my life in a visual way. And one of the first ones that
Yeah, one of the first ones. Go on.
Okay, one of the first ones that I remember being very influential in my life as an artist person is that I was taking a photography class at a camp, and I saw a girl get down underneath a log, and she was taking pictures under there. And I said, "What on earth are you taking pictures of?" I just couldn't even imagine somebody getting down underneath something in a dark area. She says, "Look through the lens." And I saw like shadows. It was quite interesting. And for some reason that changed me so much that I was able to how to look and see things that I had never really seen before. So I do tell that to kids sometimes, because even though it's an artistic visual moment, I think it can relate, in many other ways to other people that really looking and seeing things that you may not have ordinarily not seen. Anyway, I thought that was an important
That's cool. I think it's like an unexpected place to have a moment of.
It was very significant, very, very, very important to me. It just changed the way I saw things and started to make me who I am. Anyway.
That's a great example also because it's not what you expect. Like I gave a very expected answer, like becoming a parent. You gave a very interesting, personal, and out of the box answer. I like that. Does anybody else want to contribute what they've had experiences that have changed them in some way? So let's imagine that we're teaching a class, and you go out and ask your kids that. How can we get the kids to volunteer? Because you guys are not stepping out. I could just stare at Matt and ask him to say something. I can just unmute you. There. Okay.
So Nina, one thing that I kind of stepped off the ledge and did it with the teens because I know it works with the adults, didn't know if it would work with the teens, but I broke them into Havruta pairs and gave them what I call little gems of the reading. So gave them just one thing to hold and discuss. And then when they were done, brought them back together, and then they could share what their gem was because each group had maybe a different gem. And it actually worked. I mean, I wasn't sure they'd be able to. I mean, there was one kid who's a little high maintenance, but other than that, it did work.
Yeah, it's good because it gives them a little more confidence because they're not just expressing their idea, they're expressing it with someone else who already accepted it and supported them, and that's a really good idea. Does anybody else want to talk about ways that they've gotten their kids to share? Because these are great conversations when kids feel comfortable to speak. You have to get your group to be unique. The first But as the year goes on, as the year went on last year, we had some amazing conversations in our webinars, and that's what we're both looking to have that here among ourselves, and we're looking at ways to make that happen in our classes. So does anybody else want to share anything about that? Okay, well, what I want to say about it is that hopefully when you go through in your rooms with your kids, either they know each other, to some extent and feel comfortable because they've already been together. The Chavruta idea is a great one, which of course we also bring up in our materials. I can talk about some other things from teen mode that might have been experiences that have changed them, like changing schools. It's an experience that's going to change a teen, not just because you've moved, but maybe you've gone from middle school to high school, you've gone from elementary school to middle school, and you're in a new place, usually new kids coming in, transitioning that way, going to a summer program or to summer camp by yourself. That's a big one, because you really have to take care of yourself. No one's there for you to lean on. Getting a part-time job or a summer job as they get older. Those are definitely transitions that change them. Now they have their own spending money and they're like becoming more of an independent person. I think a lot of the experiences for kids this age are about becoming independent, as well as some of the interesting things like Ellen learning how to see, or learning about responsibility. So those are some things I thought I'd bring up also. And if your kids share, that's great. If they don't share, share with yourself first, and then hopefully they will. Is there anything anybody else would like to comment about this?
Oh, well, I say one thing that I do to maybe compel some answers is to make the question even more specific, just to give them a kind of a frame by which to think about experiences. So you might say, well, what about experiences with your family? Or what about Jewish experiences? Or what about experiences with your athletic career, or if you dance, or if you just give them a genre of activity that they might go to one or two of their favorite memories, that might jog their memory and kind of help them kind of get some experiences that they'll remember and be able to share by specifying a certain area, or giving them a few more variables into what they're looking for.
Really good point. Really helpful. Good. Thanks. Anybody else? Alrighty. Well then, I am going to remind you, because this is a good segue, that we have our summer stipend of $2,000, and that if you have any questions about that, to let me know. I also forgot to tell you that besides what we have here, every month we have supplemental materials, like different resources that we send out by email. We have Eli Talks and TED Talks, articles, apps, different things that can relate. So look for those. I'll send out some for these topics in the follow-up email. And don't forget to post on Facebook and to attend the webinars and to put your stuff on the Chai Mitzvah. That's basically what I had to tell you this time. So if anybody would like to say anything else, we're good. Otherwise, really, thanks so much for joining. I'm really happy to speak with everyone and meet you.
Nina, I want to ask you a question. A couple of parents have asked me about the summer stipend, saying my kid's in 8th grade this year, but they're not planning to go on the trip to Israel till 10th grade. If they were awarded the stipend, would it remain available for them when they take the trip 2 years later?
That is the golden question that every single person asks. Right now, we're not sure how much money we're going to get. So we know what we have for this year, so we're giving it to the kids that go this year. Mm-hmm. But so many educators have asked the same question, or have said, this will inspire a kid to stay in school if they get it this year and they have to stay in a school until they're old enough. We're talking about that with the board, but as of now, that's not an option for us because we have a limited amount of funds we have to give them.
So then would the 8th grader who completes it this year be eligible to apply even if they don't take a class in 9th grade? Or, like on the year before?
Right, so no, they have to do it the year before right now. We're thinking about changing that, but right now it still stands as just the year before.
Ooh.
So most of the kids that do that will be 10th grade, that are applying. That's only because we have limited funds. If we had like unlimited funds, it would be different. But your school does get a stipend also, which is nice for different stuff. People have used it for speakers or for trips or for a social action project that needs a little seed money. So you do have that coming in, which is nice.
So the school, I'm a little confused. The school gets a stipend just for offering a class?
For running a successful Chai Mitzvah program and then giving us your feedback, you get $500 the first year and $250 the second year. You do a different, like you do Musar one year and then you do something else the second year. You do, because we want to constantly be improving and knowing what's going on, and because we are funded by donors and we want to just really engage teens. So yeah, at the end of the year, I'll send you a survey and I'll know all through the year because I'll keep, talking to you and you'll email or you'll post on Facebook or whatever. We'll know what your group's doing. And at the end of the year, you'll fill out the survey and then you will get a check from Chai Mitzvah, your school. And some schools have asked for it a little bit early, like usually we do it in June or July. But if there's a school that has a mitzvah day in May and they need some money for a project, they can apply a little bit early. Or there's a school that they took their kids on a trip and they needed it a little bit early and they got it. Because they had been talking to me the whole year. We knew they were running the program and it was not a problem. So that's a good thing to know. Anything else? Okay, well, again, thanks so much for your time and for the conversation. And if you have any questions, let me know. And I'll send out a doodle poll. The next webinars will be for each group, like for Musar teachers or for mixtape or for standard, because what we usually do is we go through the topics and we have conversations and we get insights as to how different kids might react and different things people have done with it, and it's like really helpful.
Actually, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any way, Matt, I can get some of your music, not to use through the whole curriculum? I'm doing the Chai Mitzvah, but I might want to throw some in now and then. I don't know if that's even a thing.
I can send you the curriculum that Matt has written. There's plenty of links in there. Does that sound good to you, Matt?
Yeah, that's fine. And I can send you a link to my, I guess it would be best to send the a page. What is it called? If you, what's your email? I can send you a link I just released a new album with 25 Bible raps on it. So
Awesome.
I can send you that, and it should be able to stream from wherever you are.
I'm sending you my email. I'm sending email right now on the chat. Just went
Okay.
down.
I will send it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I love it.
That's great. I'll do it this way so I can see everybody. That is great. Anything else that anybody would like to bring up? All right, well, thanks everybody for being on this call. It was really nice seeing all of you and having our conversation. And I look forward to speaking again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.